Welcome to the next module of the Influencers Project. The aim of these short digital resources is to help you to develop your digital and social media literacy. This lesson is the continuation of Module 6, Copyright and Credit Attribution. In this video, you will learn which are the most frequent violations of copyright, what is fair use, and public domain. Copyright infringement is an unauthorized and illegal usage of someone's work protected by copyright. The internet remains a great source of information, but the direct access and consumption of creative works also gives rise to piracy and other illegal actions. The term digital piracy refers to unlicensed duplicating, distributing, downloading, and using the content protected by a copyright. There are different types of online piracy. Illegal streaming and linking sites that enable to use content without downloading or provide links to such content. Peer to peer file sharing is when you send a copyrighted resource you purchased to other people. Public and private torrent sites where the illegal content is downloadable. To use such resources is a direct violation of an author's economic right to be fairly rewarded for his or her work. The rise of social media brings new challenges for copyright. The new forms of hard to track copyright infringement and dishonesty to authors is related to unauthorized use of songs, videos, and other materials. A new form of piracy is freebooting, which means downloading and re uploading of someone else's work to your channel or profile, whether on the same platform or not. Freebooting is therefore different from sharing or liking embedded content. A freebooter often uses the pirated information for his or her own use to gain popularity or financial benefits. Another form of unfair treatment is plagiarism. This means to use someone else's words and expressions as one's own original work. If you write an article or book, please remember to give the attribution to the sources you quote, whether it's from Wikipedia, a blog, or a scientific article. You should also make it visible where the quotation starts and ends. It is generally allowed to consider paraphrasing of work as your original work, especially if you want to summarize or comment its message. However, even in such a case, it's good practice to put a clear reference to the author of the information you paraphrased. To check the originality of your literary work, you can use online anti plagiarism platforms. Much of the content you find on the internet is subject to copyright. Nevertheless, there are limitations and exceptions to authorship protection. One of them is fair use, which allows others to use the content without an owner's permission for purposes of teaching and learning, criticism, news reporting, commenting. Under different national laws, the fair use factors may slightly differ. The first factor is the purpose of use. Is it commercial? Are you going to make some profit out of it? If so, it is less likely to be fair use. If your purpose are non-profit, for example for educational purpose, it can often be considered as much. The next factor is the nature and originality of the work you want to use itself. If it has more factual character and it has already been published and easily accessible, then it may mean that you can use it freely. In most EU countries, a fair use principle does not apply if you quote an unpublished work. For example, the song of your friend who is a musician and asked you for opinion before releasing the piece. You cannot publish even a part of the song without their permission. The third factor considers the amount of work that was used compared to the length of the original work as a whole. Basically, you can use the portion of the original work, especially if your purpose is for transformation, commenting, news reporting, or teaching. Do not forget that even a small portion often requires credit attribution. And the last main factor is related to the question of how you will use impact the market and the economic interest of the author. If the use goes against author's current or potential market opportunities, then it cannot be considered fair. When you plan to use one's work as fair use, all factors have to be considered. There is also one place where all content is free from copyright. The public domain, which consists of intellectual commons to which no exclusive intellectual property rights apply. The public domain comprises of books, music, pictures, and films of which copyright protection has expired. Copyright protection is temporary and in most European countries lasts 70 years after publication and or 70 years after the death of the author. Many legal and administrative acts, for example, are also part of the public domain. If you want to use copyright protected work in your resource, you can buy a license. To do so, you need to identify the owner and contact them. If you look for background music or images, for example, then you can use facilities with royalty free resources. You can buy individual pieces and subscriptions based ones and use the works without infringing copyright. You have now completed the second learning section for Module 6 Copyright and Credit. We discussed possible violations of copyright as well as the limitations to copyright and other ways to use content fairly and for free. For more resources that will help you to develop your digital and social media literacy, please visit the Influencers Project website at www.influencersproject.eu.